What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to In the Post. I'm Corey, and with me, as always, is the one, the only, Mr. Todd. Gotcha. And
Ladies and
back.
gentlemen, good
Oh, go
evening.
ahead. Good evening, and back by
I was just
popular
saying,
demand.
good evening.
Back by popular demand is Mr. Aaron Mehling. Give it up for Aaron. Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. This time basketball.
This time basketball. Joined us on Line to Gain last week, and he is back by popular demand. Will, thank you for liking the stream. Todd, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm great, man. I'm ready to talk some basketball. You know, this is Rally Tell Sports has done something for me that it's been a while. It's rekindled my love for basketball. I was kind of COVID happened and I got a little distant from hoops. And I'm back in it, baby. I'm in the articles. I'm trying to make sure that I'm informed, educated, and most importantly, I'm taking hot takes here. That's where I'm at right now. I'm hot takes on hoops.
Pump the brakes right now. You save it for the rest of it. We got a long show ahead of us, and I want to just space it out so everybody can we just keep them dangling on here. Aaron, how you doing this evening, buddy? It's good to have you back.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. This is I had too much fun on Thursday to say no, I don't want to come back. And no, I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on and being versatile. I'm a kind of like a wing that's like a stretch 4, maybe you can play the 3, maybe a 2 if we're trying to go big.
Wow.
Love it. I love it. I love the analogy. Are you wearing a Bulls shirt right now?
Heck yeah, dude.
Oh, I love it. Aaron, born in Chicago.
No, I was born in Ohio.
Oh, and then you moved to Chicago?
And then I moved to Chicago. So
okay.
I've always said I've been one of the reasons, and I'll just tell your listeners, one of the reasons I love basketball is I've always been able to watch greats on local television. So I got to watch Michael Jordan when I was a kid. And then I got to watch LeBron James. So it was pretty great.
Man, what a luxury that is.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You grew up in the 90s in the Pippen, Jordan, Rodman era, and then you moved to the Northeast Ohio, and then you just get LeBron James dumped in your lap.
Yeah. It was it worked out. So love basketball.
I'd say that's a pretty good turnout. Pop's jumping in the chat saying, "What's up, boys? What's going on, Dad?"
Mark.
Good to see you. Good to have you. So, boys, I don't know if you got a cocktail tonight, but I've got something. First, I'll start with a trivia question. Do you know what the initial purpose of Mountain Dew was?
It was a whiskey mixer.
Ding, 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 ding. Aaron Mehling. Correct. It was a whiskey mixer. Or better yet, it was a solvent for whiskey, if you will. And a solvent is never a problem. Do you know why?
No.
Because it's part of the solution. There you go. Dad joke of the night. I got a little Mountain Dew Zero with Jim Beam going on this evening.
Let's go.
If you haven't done it, it's almost like an alcoholic speedball, if you will, because you got the upper with the Dew and the downer with the Beam. So it's great.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that was its intent, was to be a mixer for whiskey, and then it turned out to be what runs through the rivers of West Virginia. It's an unbelievable thing.
It's amazing. What a coincidence. when you hit a well in West Virginia, just Diet Dew sprays out. Absolutely. It's beautiful. Mountain Dew mouth.
It's regular Mountain Dew. There ain't no Diet Dew and running in the Kanawha River. It's all Dew. Yeah.
That's a good point. Pop's actually got that correct.
Experience. I mean, I spent a lot of time in West Virginia in 2 years.
Well, and no longer are you tortured with that. No longer have you had to,
That's true. Beautiful
to sit around that. Got a little lag going on between us right now, Toddy, but it's all right. We're going to fight through it.
Fight through the pick.
So let's get to it. Elite Eight recap. I'm genuinely curious. What was your favorite game from the Elite Eight? Now, if we don't remember, I can take some time and I can go back through it and remind everyone. Obviously, we had St. Peter's going down to North Carolina. Todd, I know you had expressed earlier you want to show a little Peacock love.
Little Peacock love. Little Peacock love. Look, here's the deal, guys. As a Kentucky Wildcat fan, it was only right for me to have some skin in the game for St. Peter's. And did they get beat by 20? Yes. Did they shoot less than 20% from the floor? Yes,
Bingo.
they did. It did not go well for them in the Elite Eight. But here's the thing. We weren't thinking that Peacocks were going to get to the Elite Eight. They're the first 15 seed in the history of college basketball to make it to the Elite Eight. And I think the best case scenario happened out of this for St. Peter's because Shaheen Holloway is now the coach at Seton Hall. I mean, that is incredible what this platform provides for a school like a Oral Roberts or a St. Peter's or a Florida Gulf Coast from a few years back, that, you know, you get the opportunity to get these coaches at mid-majors who haven't really caught their big break to get to the Power Five. And it always works out in their favor. Look at what it did for Shaka Smart's coaching career. He went from VCU, where he was kind of just riding it out and had good mid-major programs. They make it to the Sweet 16. Next thing you know, he's the coach at Texas, coaching a top 15 program. That's what makes March Madness so special to me.
Look at the coach in San Francisco. Look at the coach in San Francisco. What has he made it 2 years in a row to the tournament? Yeah. And he just got a fat deal to be the new basketball coach at Florida, which, by the way, I fucking called at the beginning of the season, and people are kind of like, they always make the tournament. I'm like, dude, Mike White is on his last fucking rope. This is it for Mike White. And lo and behold, you get a guy that, you know, out of San Francisco that takes his team. I believe it's back-to-back years of the tournament, if I'm not mistaken, and just gets a huge fucking deal.
It's been a long time since San Francisco University has been relevant, and I'm talking all the way back to the Bill Russell days. That's how long it's been since San Francisco has been on this platform. But yeah, I think that's what makes this tournament so special, is that it gives these coaches who haven't caught their big break the chance to get on a national platform. And look, Shaheen Holloway outcoached John Calipari, who is by the college basketball, the standard. He's one of the top coaches in college basketball, whatever. Even as a Kentucky fan, I don't agree with that. I would argue that to the end of the time.
I'm glad.
He's the most overrated coach in college basketball. He goes to Murray State. Murray State's a top-tier mid-major program. They make the tournament almost every single year. They beat them. He out-coaches them. He plays them out of their game. And then he gets them to the Sweet 16, where you're like, all right. And I said it every single road stop along the way, and Corey can attest to this. This is it. There's no way they could do this again. There's no way they could do this again. Yeah. And Shaheen Holloway meets Matt Painter, and he beats him. He beats him at his own game. He forced him to slow down and set up an offense and play with his guards instead of using his big men, which is what Purdue did well getting into the tournament. They utilized the guys in the post, and at St. Peter's, running the tallest guy at 6'8", stopped the 7'4" Frankenstein-esque player.
Edie. Yeah, they had a couple blocks as well, I believe, in that game. And not to mention one of the top prospects coming into the NBA next year. Mr. Ivey. So I think they've had a magical run, and no one will really forget that. And I think it's going to open up some opportunities if he's looking for them for Mr. Holloway. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to see how that goes. Will with a comment here saying, agree. Calipari isn't doing UK justice. Does he lose his job? Quick answer, no. He has a lifetime contract at the University of Kentucky. He cannot be fired. So, no, Calipari will not. The only thing that would get him out at Kentucky is a large lump sum of money that is distributed to him under the table that will allow him to not, maybe he's going to end up buying a piece of art to hide it for tax purposes, but John Calipari will not be he will not be leaving the University of Kentucky forced. He will not be forced out. So I want to get into I'm going to go over the 4 matchups that we had in the Elite Eight. If you didn't get a chance to catch them, whatever, we're gonna dive in. Arkansas versus Duke. Duke took down Arkansas 78-69. North Carolina, we just mentioned, beat St. Peter's 69-49, 20-point deficit there for the Peacocks. And Kansas, the last number 1 seed, 76-50 over Miami. And Villanova getting it done, getting to another Final Four, 50-44 over Houston.
Are they the new Michigan State?
Who's that? Villanova.
Villanova, where you're just like, you can just pick them in your bracket, and you might be feeling good about it, even if they're like a 4 or 5 seed. I know they weren't,
Listen.
but
No, I mean they're number 2 seed, but I think that's a very good question. I think that's a very fair point. I mean, was it Jay Wright? Is he the new Tom Izzo? Right? I mean, well, he's in the Hall of Fame. Jay Wright's in the Hall of Fame, right?
I was gonna say he's also a Hall of Famer, so we can't. I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could put him in the Izzo category at this point, right? I mean,
but there was a point in time. Go ahead, Aaron.
I was gonna say we're still talking blue bloods. It don't matter, but it's just it doesn't matter what kind of roster they bring in. You feel pretty comfortable about them getting to the Final Four, and like you guys were saying earlier, everyone's rooting for the underdogs. I loved seeing the St. Peters. I love seeing Florida Gulf Coast, even like Butler. Back when it was Gordon Hayward and
Sheldon Mack.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like that's fun. And it like at the beginning of the tournament, I'm hearing about the Peacocks, and I'm just in my head, I'm like, oh God, NBC isn't going to let us get this streaming service. They're forcing it down our throat. I'm like, oh, it's a basketball. Oh, okay. We're in it.
Good job.
Okay. But no, I mean, Villanova, and that's what you're seeing too now is the Final Four is all blue bloods. So, and I'm pretty sure Duke and UNC has actually never met in the tournament as well. I think I saw that, which is interesting.
I'll look that up real quick.
Or if not, it's the Final Four.
I believe it
is. Is it Final Four?
They have never matched in the Final Four, and
for Coach K's last year, I mean, what better send off?
Right, and I think the bittersweet part of this for Krzyzewski is that he's now meeting the hottest team in college basketball on the final song and dance, and you could throw C's out the window in this game. This game is way, way, way deeper than getting to the national championship. This is a lot more for Hubie Davis than it is for Mike Krzyzewski.
So listen to this. The Tar Heels and Blue Devils have met 255 more times in the 100-plus years since their first game, but never before in the NCAA tournament. This is an article posted 21 hours ago at NBCChicago.com. That is insane. That is insane, and it's almost conspiracy. Dad with a comment coming in here. They have not, so he's on top of his shit. Also, a Kentucky fan, Todd.
Sorry, Mark.
And I don't know that we could present it any other way, and we will get into Duke in North Carolina later here in the show. But I'm just curious, out of Kansas, Miami, obviously we talked about UNC St. Peter's, Arkansas, Duke, Houston, Villanova. Todd, what is there a matchup that stood out to you, or one that you really enjoyed the most?
I'll be honest with you. I think the Elite Eight games were the worst games that we've seen of this tournament so far. It was tough. I mean, that Houston Villanova game was awful. It was awful. There was Houston's strategy throughout the entire season: dribble, drive, get to the basket, force yourself to the free throw line. Worst case scenario, one of your 4, 6, 7 guard forward centers is going to be open, right? Mm-hmm. And Villanova stopped that. They had they forced them to shoot threes, and guess what? They shot 1 for 21 from the 3-point line. And it was painful. That was a painful game. I really think the best game was the Kansas Miami game, and that was only because of Kansas coming back from a shitty first half and absolutely just dominating Miami beneath the hardwood in the second half. It was awful.
Just doing a whole lot of that the entire second half.
Yeah, I mean, it was some bad Elite Eight games, but I think it was it's been a pretty solid tournament up until that point, and
great tournament
because of and because of that, I think that sets up for such a great Final Four because you got all the teams that smacked ass to get there. So I'm really looking forward to this Final Four matchup. Obviously, we just said, obviously the Duke UNC thing, but
Kansas
Villanova is that's going to be pretty good too.
Pretty good. And
that's two of the best coaches in college basketball going toe to toe who coach the exact same style of basketball, right? Bill Self and Jay Wright both play the long con. I call it the long con of college basketball, where they force you to get into an offense and create a shot that you didn't want to create. and it's gonna be low scoring, but I think it's gonna be. I personally think that is the matchup that will be more exciting. I think the Duke North Carolina game. I'll explain my thoughts later, but I think this game is more exciting than that one.
So I was just going to say, just to kind of put a bow on this Elite Eight, we had talked about which game was the most fun or the most interesting to us. I expected Duke to beat Arkansas. Arkansas upset Gonzaga, obviously, but I still think Duke was the better team, and they demonstrated that. North Carolina, St. Peter's, I thought it was going to be a closer game, to be honest with you. I thought St. Peter's was going to come in with a little bit more momentum, and they just didn't. North Carolina is the hottest team in basketball. Dad with a comment saying, put your money on the Tar Heels. I don't think that's a bad bet right now. Kansas, Miami, that one didn't surprise me either. I expected Kansas to win that game. By how much? They won by 26 points. I think that was just – I think Miami was tired. I think they put a lot into those preliminary games getting to the Elite Eight, and it just wore off. And that's just what happens when you're not as talented of a roster, right? And that was demonstrated there in that Elite Eight matchup. The one that is the most interesting to me is that Villanova-Houston matchup, and I know Todd just talked about it defensively, and I want to emphasize this. Villanova held Houston to 44 points in the entire game. In the entire game, they scored 44 points. That's insane to me. And if they can go out and do that against Kansas, if they can shut Kansas down defensively, they're gonna go to the national championship game. And we'll get into our picks here in a little bit, and we'll talk about whether I think Kansas is going to be that person. Will, with the comments, you have to pick your champion tonight, and that's correct. We do have to pick our champion tonight. We won't have another show of In the Post till next Wednesday, 2 days after the national championship game. So we will make predictions on that later tonight. But I wanted to get to this comment right here before we absolutely will. I'm not going to miss your comment, buddy. I'm going to go over it. So Will with the comment, how tough was it to watch St. Peter's against a strong team with tall guys? He said, I was pulling for the Peacocks, but they were just physically outmatched. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Todd, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I think you watch Bradley Manick and Bako from North Carolina, and the way that they were just able to move freely in the paint, and it wasn't just on scoring wise. I mean, I believe North Carolina had like I don't know, remember the exact number. I believe they had like 13 offensive rebounds, which that's a really high scoring. That's a really high number when you win by 20. It just. Hold on, I'm going to fact check myself here. Yeah, they had 14 offensive rebounds in total.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a big number, and that hurts.
Well, they have two big guys that they work most of their offense through, and when you're able to do that in a league where that's not necessarily designed for paint defense, and I'm just talking about basketball in general, whether it be NBA. Well, in the NBA, you're going to have big guys that can defend on the inside. That's just a requirement for being a big guy in the NBA, right? But in college basketball, it's kind of changed a little bit as of late, where you have like guys like Chet Holmgren who can stretch it out, right? Mm-hmm. Chet, while he is solid defensively, I think if North Carolina meets up with Gonzaga in the Final Four, I think North Carolina is going to the national championship game. I think that's the result of that. They're a bigger, stronger team, right? I think you're looking at pedigree differences at this point. You're looking at 5-star recruits that are going to North Carolina versus guys at St. Peter's that have scrapped their way to the Elite Eight. And it just ran out, in my opinion. Aaron, anything to add on that?
I mean, St. Peter's beat two teams that that beat UNC this year. Purdue beat UNC, and so did Kentucky. Yep. So that was kind of the interesting part of it, to see them not get smacked like that. I mean, listen, every Cinderella loses its shoe at the end of the night. Like we get it. Time runs out. It happens. We're all rooting for that story, but it's really, really hard to get through that. And like I said, I think the last team we've seen even fill that bill to get to the championship was Butler. Even though I would say St. Peter's is obviously much more of a deep seed of Cinderella, because we've never seen a 15 seed get that far. But still, at the end of the day, I thought it was going to be closer than that. And part of it is because UNC had lost to those teams that they had beat before, but I also think it's kind of like that hot goalie going into the Stanley Cup playoffs of, UNC is playing great great basketball right now.
They really are. It's crazy.
I think you're absolutely right. There's a point where the rubber meets the road and March Madness, and right now North Carolina
for the boys
is an F-350 barreling down center lane, and St. Peter's is driving a smart car. Right. That's just what happened. That was that scenario.
Very fuel efficient. It got them a long way, but there ain't no fucking charging stations in the desert. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's a reason they were seated where they were. I mean, but UNC also earned the right to be where they are because they had. It's not like they came through as a 1 seed or 2 or 3. Right. You know what I mean? 100%. So that's what I'm saying. I think they're really, really hot right now. I know we'll get into our predictions for the Final Four. But credit to UNC for getting to this point right now. But I really did think it was interesting that St. Peter's had beaten some teams that they had lost to, and then just kind of got smacked in the mouth. Yeah,
absolutely, great points. And now that we've put a bow on the Elite Eight, we look ahead into the matchups for the weekend, leading us into Monday's national championship game. And lo and behold, there is another game other than UNC and Duke this weekend. And I think we should lead it off with that to make sure that we put some emphasis on this, because I don't want to put down UNC versus Duke. I think the fact that this is the first time they're meeting up in the tournament and it's in the Final Four, the only thing bigger would obviously be that they match up in the national championship game, right? That would be the only thing that would be bigger. But this is massive, huge implications on the line. We will get to it, I promise you. But first, I want to kick it over to the other side of the bracket, where we have a team that has won 2 national championships in the last 5 years, Villanova, taking on the last remaining number 1 seed in the Kansas Jayhawks. Todd, what is it that you're most excited for this matchup? What are you looking for, and who are you taking?
So I think the thing that I am most excited for, I'm going to start by saying this. The last 2 times that Villanova has made it to the Final Four, they have won the national championship. I'm just going to throw that out there as a preface.
Wow.
Good stats.
So this game is, thank you. I thought that felt important.
Yeah.
This game is going to come specifically down to guard play, because look, Kansas outsizes Villanova. They do. They run 3 guys over 6'8". Villanova's biggest guy on the floor is traditionally 6'8", 6'9", and he is a power forward by nature. He is not he's not a stretch of floor guy. But the thing that Villanova does really well that really comes down to winning games in the last 5 minutes is they are the best free throw shooting team in the whole entire country. They shoot as a team 82.6%. So just digest that number for a second. More than it basically 8 of 10 free throws that they're shooting are going in. The average is around like 71%. And I think free throws win games, especially close games like this one. And I see Colin Gillespie getting to the line 8 to 12 times in this game, and Villanova makes it to the national championship.
Love it. Brian, thanks for sharing the stream or liking the stream. Go ahead and share that thing if you're feeling saucy. Aaron, what do you got?
I mean, I agree that Villanova is going to win the game, and like I said, that's a great stat. I mean, Villanova is one of those teams, like you said, when they get to the Final Four, they've been there the last couple of years as well. I think there's something to be said about the pedigree, and again, we're talking all blue bloods in the Final Four, so these are great coaches. You got some juniors and seniors still on the team. They're not just all one and dones, even with these guys, even though those are pretty great destinations for those type of players. But I think the big winner is the under in general. I think we're going to see a lot of defense, and then you also move into a football stadium where the lines, where the sight lines get all messed up. The big winner is going to be the first half under. I'm taking Villanova.
That's an interesting perspective. I really like that you've thrown that out there. So this is in the Superdome, the Caesars Superdome.
That ain't a basketball stadium.
No, it's not, sir. No, it is not. And it'll be rowdy for sure in that place in Nolens for sure. And
I've never ever thought of that.
Yeah.
that's a great bet.
The lighting is not intended for basketball.
No. In the sight lines, you take that corner three, you're used to seeing the stands right where it is. Corner three is where you're going to be hitting, 40%. Your guys will be hitting 40. That's where you dish it out. Everyone collapses. Oh, this guy's wide open.
Move on. Yeah.
Not only that, you have the big moment. You have the sight lines being messed up. You have Bourbon Street yelling at you. It's, I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of betting the under during the Final Four, especially the first half of
under. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Let's do it. Let's rally test. I love it. Roll the winnings into charity somewhere. I love it. I'm gonna disagree. In my bracket, I took number one seeds too far, apparently. And I'm gonna say that the committee got one number one seed correct, and that the Kansas Jayhawks are gonna go to the national championship game. Villanova put on a lot of defense, but I'm just riding the Jayhawks at this point. Just hoping and praying that I can at some point be correct about a fucking pick in this goddamn tournament. Rock Chalk.
You and everybody else.
Right. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, baby. Will with a comment here saying, good stat on free throws. I'm surprised how little that has come into play so far. It's coming in the Final Four for sure. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, you're dealing with basketball programs that know how to operate the game in an efficient way. There aren't going to be these I don't think we're going to see any blowouts, right? We're not going to see that. We're not going to see a 20-point victory in this Final Four. What you will see, I think, are these surges of points, ebbs and flows in the game where one team's going to go on a 15-point run. Another team's going to counter with a 21-point run, outscoring the other one by 21 or something like that. It's going to ebb and flow in that general direction. And what is going to be the catalyst of that is the consistency at the free throw line. I think it shouldn't be understated about Villanova's ability to perform at the free throw line. What it really comes down to for Kansas is how disciplined they can be to not put them there, right? It's a two-way street, two to tango in terms of getting to the free throw line. You have to commit the fouls in order to get there, and it'll be interesting to see how early we start looking at the Jayhawks foul total. Now it's time that we move on to the entree, the filet mignon. UNC Duke in the Final Four. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. Honestly, I can't think of very many other matchups that I would rather watch. Just as a objective viewer, I'm a Gators fan. Aaron's a Buckeyes fan. Todd, you're a UK fan. And like Ohio State basketball.
I live in Ohio. I don't root against
like if they're there, I'm rooting for them. That kind of thing. More importantly, probably a Bowling Green State University.
Green Falcons roll along.
Bowling Green State University. Talons up.
Anyway, I don't think they got in this year.
No, they didn't. They went 6-13, I think, with like 3 games left. So probably not.
Can't believe the committee left them out.
Yeah, the seeding this year is ridiculous. These guys, just look at their.
Yeah, there's your prime example of how the NCAA just doesn't take losing records into consideration.
Yeah, look at who they had played Toledo twice. Ball State, excuse me, they're no pushover. No, I can't think of any other matchups. Objectively speaking, our teams aren't in the tournament right now. Is there any other matchup that you would prefer before we get to the game? Is there any other matchup in college basketball that you would rather see right here in the Final Four, guys? Todd, we'll start with you.
We're talking like I can pick any 2 teams to play each other in the Final Four.
Not your team, and you have to be objective about it. Like you have to be like, I want Kentucky to play San Diego State in the Final Four. That's what I want to have.
No. I think that you get to the grassroots of college basketball rivalries. I think this is top tier now, right? Mm-hmm. There was a long time where you could say that Kentucky and Louisville was a top tier battle in college basketball, and that's gone to the wayside. That's over. Chris Mack took over a program that was in shambles. He wasn't able to get it out of the graveyard. Louisville is 5 to 7 years away from being irrelevant again, especially being in the ACC now. It is a long road ahead for Louisville.
Chris Mack taking the job back where?
No, that's Sean Miller. Sean Miller took the job at Xavier.
Oh, he did? Oh, shoot. I thought Chris Mack. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Anyway.
No, it's
wow.
better. I think Sean Miller going back to Xavier tells you, I mean, he went and created a dynasty in Arizona, gets in trouble, comes immediately back to Xavier where he's comfortable. Oh, by the way, now I'm in the Big East, so now I can rebuild my shit. Oh, the NIL exists? Let me not have to launder money to get 5-star recruits into my program. But yeah, I think this is the matchup that you want in the tournament. I don't think there's any rivalry that's embedded deeper into college basketball than this. And I'm sure that there's some fans out there that are going to throw out some maybe let's talk some West Coast. I don't know. To me, this is that's what I'm saying. There's going to be somebody that says
like Kentucky, Kansas is the only other acceptable answer in my opinion.
Yeah, you can say Kentucky Duke, something like that, right?
Yeah,
where there's bad blood between those schools.
IU Kansas, something like that.
Especially after like the Big East broke up, where like there was constantly those type of rivalries. Yeah, I mean it's UNC.
Yeah, we're not talking. Yeah, Georgetown and Seton
Nova
Hall and all. Yeah, those guys. Yeah. It's not as tough.
UConn, Syracuse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See, we don't see them anymore.
No, basketball is different. College basketball is significantly different now. This is it, guys. This is the game that you want to sit down in front of a TV and be uninterrupted for 2.5 hours because it's going to be really, really fun. And it is going to be a back and forth battle because what both of these teams have that we've talked about being kind of a benefactor and throughout the tournament is they're both fucking enormous. They both run huge teams on the floor. And guess what? Everybody can handle the ball. Everybody can block shots. There is a top NBA prospect on both sides of the floor for each team in Paolo Banchero and Armando Bacot. Those guys are both going to be top 15 picks. They have the ability to play at the NBA level. And I love what North Carolina has done to this point. I think that it's a great story. It's a good start for Hubie Davis's career, but I think Mike Krzyzewski makes it to the national championship.
Wow.
And here's why. You look at Duke as they matched up, and I don't think about the Arkansas game because I don't really feel that Arkansas was supposed to be there, right?
Okay.
That was that game against Gonzaga. I have questions on some play calling from Mark Few, and then there's some additional things, some officiating things, and a couple of time clock scenarios that happened. Regardless, I don't think Arkansas should have been there. But Corey and I talked very extensively about how Duke played Michigan State, and there was a point in time where you thought, "Oh shit, Izzo caught up to Krzyzewski. He's gonna put a period on Krzyzewski's career," and something happened at the 10-minute mark in the second half where Duke turned into the best program in college basketball that they were supposed to be. Because don't forget, they were the consensus number one for a lot of people. And I just think they got it. I think they got it. They endure the battle a little bit better than North Carolina does.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Aaron, what do you think?
Again, I'm going with Todd here. I agree. I think Duke's going to win. I'm always going to take the team, and I'm more of an NBA guy than an NCAA guy. But I'm always going to take the team. They got 2 lottery picks easy over at Duke. They got 3 guys that are top or in the first round, and I think there's just something very serendipity about the Coach K last year that I just think the players kind of rally around. Yeah, it's the 2 over the 8 seed. I think, like we said, UNC is coming in very, very hot. I think there is something to say about it being Coach K's last year, the last hurrah. I have Duke over UNC. I think, like we had said earlier, I think UNC has played phenomenal to get to this point. And if you looked at the bracket before any games have been played, I don't think any of us thought it was going to be Duke UNC. I mean, a 2 seed getting to the Final Four, no problem. Even an 8 seed getting to the Final Four isn't crazy, but both of those two things happening is just very, very rare. I really, like I said, from the college game is played a lot differently than the pro game, but I'm going to take the guys that have more pro players on their team. I'm going to take Duke.
Yeah, I'm in line with you guys as well. I got Duke taking on the Jayhawks in the national championship game. Similar reason that I think Kansas is going. I think Duke is built better. There's a reason they're a 2. There's a reason North Carolina is an 8. And I think that North Carolina has been running on some hot steam as of late. It was a great matchup to end the regular season with Duke and North Carolina meeting there at Cameron Indoor. And the last hurrah for Krzyzewski at home. And they edged out Duke in that matchup, if you recall. I think Krzyzewski has that right here. And I think he's got one more time to stick it to him, and he's gotten his chance. And I just don't see them blowing that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, Will, with a comment here before we get to our national champion picks, you two will go first, being that you have the same one, so prepare, and then I will go. Will with a comment saying, Miller at Xavier is a win for basketball in Cincinnati, if only because it cements the crosstown shootout. Obviously, the University of Cincinnati versus Xavier University crosstown shootout. UC will have to ball to win, and Xavier doesn't have to worry about recruiting for football. So that's an interesting point. Obviously, Xavier is 90% of their budget probably goes to that basketball program. I would imagine there's probably some swimming in there, being in that they're a private Catholic school, but that's just what they do. The University of Cincinnati is moving to the Big 12, and I don't think that should be understated either. The University of Cincinnati has gone through some tumultuous days since Mick Cronin has left their program, and I think it should be highlighted that they are moving into arguably the best basketball conference next to the ACC. I mean, we can make that statement.
Big Ten.
See, okay, you just walked into a hornet's nest.
I don't care.
Right. We had 9 teams out of the Big Ten make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
How many
I know
made
it
the
happens
Sweet
all the
16?
time.
2.
Yeah. No, I
See,
get it.
but they ride. This is what happens: is the Big Ten rides into the season on the name, and they get ranked high to start the season. They go through. They play a cupcake ass regular pre-conference schedule. Then they go into the conference and they beat up on each other. And it's like, oh well, Purdue got beat by Indiana, but Indiana was ranked 8th. Even though Purdue was ranked 3rd. So Purdue's not going to drop that far. And then Purdue's going to beat Michigan, who was ranked 10th. So they're going to get boosted up more. And it's just, they just fucking jerk each other off the whole way to the NCAA tournament.
So my only counter to that is how do you describe best conference? Is it top heavy, or is it what's the best overall conference?
I would say teams that conferences
Kansas is always going to be there. I understand that Texas has their opportunities. There's been, even like a team like Oklahoma State, right? I get that. So I'm not even arguing, for this season, last season. And I can already tell there's some shit I've missed where you guys have shit on the Big Ten, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that. Top to bottom though. I mean, that's the conference I give it to.
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, you could argue that in football as well, right? Like you could argue top to bottom, like the mid-tier Big Ten schools are going to just beat the shit out of the mid-tier Pac-12 schools. Like it's just not even a question. Like they're just going to run over them, right? But who's the best conference in football?
Well,
it's the SEC.
It's the SEC, yeah. I think it's a little different. Exactly. I mean, I think there's actually funny that you bring that up. I think there are a lot of parallels between the football and basketball of the Big Ten, where it's, they constantly beat the hell out of each other. And then when you have to go to the big stage, sometimes they're just not there. Yeah, they're just not there. I don't know if that's the recruits that they get. You're probably, here's the thing. a team like Kansas is always there. That is not a destination to go to. So there's certainly something to say about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's just these Midwest farm boys always coming in. You got your 6'10" white center. And it's not that. I just listen, Big Ten top to bottom is always there. I mean, hell, man. I mean, we were just talking about Michigan State constantly making the Final Four. You've had Michigan constantly making the Final Four. Listen, it's fine. You want to say Big 12 over Big 10. I think that's fine, but
I think that the main issue that I have is that so many other teams make the tournament and only the top portion of that actually prevails. Like not even to the Final Four. That's not even what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Sweet 16 at this point, whereas 9 teams made the tournament. Only 2 made it to the Sweet 16. They were beat out by the ACC and the Big 12 with teams that were making it to the Sweet 16. So if I'm looking at the Sweet 16 right now, let's see, going through the Big 12, you had Texas Tech, you had Kansas and Iowa State. There's Texas 3 teams
Tech,
making.
Yeah, I forgot to mention them earlier too. Yeah,
right, great, yeah, absolutely. Also, and the 2 teams that made the Sweet 16 out of the Big 10, Purdue. I would have guessed that. I would have said, yeah, Purdue. A lot of people had Purdue going to the Final Four. I mean, that wasn't a crazy bet being in their bracket. And then Michigan. No one would have expected Michigan to make it to the Final Four. You wouldn't have expected Wisconsin to get bounced out of the round of 32 if I would have told you that they were playing an 11 seed Iowa State team. If they got bounced by LSU, people would have been like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But, I get it. LSU's a solid basketball team. Looking through the rest of the division, Ohio State getting bounced by Villanova, that's not crazy. I mean, people can understand that. Michigan obviously outperformed Tennessee, moving on to the Elite Eight, or Sweet 16, I'm sorry. Great win for the University of Michigan. They went on a tear. Houston over Illinois. Illinois didn't look good through most of the tournament. They literally beat Chattanooga by 1 point in the opening round. Chattanooga. These aren't the same recruiting.
I think what you guys are talking about, like how this conference, Illinois is the prime example to me where the Big Ten gets you a top 20 ranking where you absolutely don't deserve it. Because if you watch Illinois during the season, and it happens for all Power 5 schools, I think the Big Ten is the easiest to pick on because we saw Iowa and Illinois both. Those are my 2 examples from the tournament because I exclude Indiana, I exclude Purdue, I exclude Wisconsin. Iowa's a team that had a much higher upside than their seed at 5, and Illinois being seated as a number 4, I thought was one of the more
egregious.
Egregious is a good word. I was going to say unacceptable, because they didn't play as a top 16 team in college basketball, right?
Which is what that ranking indicates them.
Right. That's my indication.
And you know what? I think that does actually happen in football. And as a Gators fan, it happens to my team all the time. Like you're gonna put Florida at 15th overall when Felipe Franks is the fucking quarterback. You're gonna do that? Like that happened multiple times. So I think it does happen elsewhere. I just think it's most prevalent in basketball only. Looking at basketball only, I think the Big Ten gets a lot of favoritism because of the history, and the history is there. Purdue, Ohio State, Indiana, Illinois. I mean, Michigan State, Michigan. These are great programs.
Wisconsin.
If you're Wisconsin, yes. Excuse me. Exactly. I think they just get a lot of favoritism in that regard just because of who they are. And I understand the why. I just don't necessarily agree with it. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, taking a step back, I mean, this is why we love the tournament in March, right? Because you actually give the opportunity for these teams to put it all on the court as opposed to college football where it's like, all right, these are the 4 teams, I guess. And even, before that, we didn't get that. It was just like, all right, these 2 teams are playing for the national championship, I guess. So that's the best part about March Madness. It's why everyone schedules their vasectomies around it.
I about spit that fucking beer right out of my mouth.
I think it's.
Oh my god, that was great.
You don't get a St. Peter's in college football.
No, you don't. They tried with Cincinnati this year.
Yeah, that's the closest thing that's happened, and that backfired.
Yeah, or
it
even
turned
like
out great for UC's football program.
last decade is Boise State or whatever team you want to put there.
UCF,
Yeah,
Northern
exactly.
Illinois. Yeah,
Exactly.
which Northern Illinois. Yeah, well, tell me about Northern Illinois going undefeated, then facing Bowling Green.
You know how much
in the
money
MAC
we lost the
championship?
MAC that year?
A lot.
Because we all split that bowl game money, and we're like, "Yeah, go fuck yourselves."
Yeah, eat a pile of dog shit.
No, but really, that's why we love that's why it's March Madness, right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
actually get to play these
Yeah.
games out. It's the absolute. I love chaos. I
just-
absolutely love chaos.
We're gonna get into our national championship picks here in a second, and you said you love chaos, and here's a question I'm going to pose to you, and it's going to go a little bit off topic because we're talking about college sports right now. That's why you love March Madness, the chaos. A lot of people will argue that the entire season of college football is that. You can't lose. You can't lose. Every single game matters, just like March Madness. And I would almost champion that in saying that college football has demonstrated over the last 2 seasons why it does not need to expand the playoff. Doesn't need to. There has not been a good semifinal matchup in the last 3 seasons.
So
they have absolutely pistol whipped whoever they're playing.
I'll just, for the sake of it, even though I actually do believe it, let's go the opposite way, right? So there is something to be said about nuts on the line, right? Where I'm watching a March Madness game and there's 8 minutes to go, and it's win or go home. Yeah. Week 4, it's not necessarily the case. Now you can
depending
lose
on who
one
you
game.
are.
Right, exactly. Now you're in a Power 5 conference. You're or the SEC, the Big 10, Pac-12, whatever you want to say for college football. Those are the teams that can afford to lose one game and still get in, as long as you control the rest of your schedule. Ohio State lost to Oregon early. They still had a chance to be in there. They lost to Michigan. It was out. So there's just something about the winner go home part of being in a tournament to me that is a little bit more exciting, and why I would say you can expand that tournament, also because you're giving more money to smaller schools. Obviously Cincinnati this last year, I think we all agree deserved to be in. But yeah, they got their asses kicked by Alabama. That's what's to be expected. Could they have won a first round game and saw Alabama in the second round? Maybe. And then who knows what happens from there. I think there's just something, again, the chaos part of it. When you have a team that is a 15 seed, an 8 seed, a 12 seed, whatever seed you want to call it, and there's 4 minutes left in the game and it's win or go home, it's a whole different environment than, hey, it's week 4. We can
nuts on the line.
Lose this game, nuts on the line.
Yeah, I love it. I love that saying, and I will implement it frequently from here on out. So that's awesome. All right, boys, it's time. It's time to put those fucking nuts on the line, and we're going to make our picks for a national champion tonight. That's right. It is March 30th. The game is 5 days away. I think I did that right.
Yeah, Saturday.
And we are making our picks tonight. So Todd and Aaron have Duke, Villanova in the national championship game. Duke versus Villanova, Todd. Who's walking away, cutting down the nets in New Orleans?
Here's the deal. And again, I just want to preface what I'm about to say that I am a large Kentucky basketball fan.
Here's the pick.
I already know what you're saying.
There is going to be a team that is wearing a similar shade of blue cutting down the net, and that is going to be Mike Krzyzewski on the shoulders of Paolo Banchero, snipping down that net. Duke Blue Devils are the national champion for the 2021-2022 college basketball season. And there is one reason and one reason only. I just said his name. It's Paolo Banchero. You watch him play, and I recommend for anybody that's watching it for YouTube, just to watch him play without him having the ball for 5 minutes. That's all I ask. Watch him play in a college basketball game when he's not handling the ball or he's not scoring. He is the most impactful player on the floor all of the time. He's their best defender. He's first or second down the floor every single time. And when he gets the ball, he creates such a frenzy around him that somebody else, either he's getting to the basket and he's creating a great shot, or somebody else is wide open. And I think Villanova is already they're thinking about this game and they're preparing this. How do we stop him? How do we stop him? How do we stop him? I don't really think that there's an answer at the collegiate level to stop Paolo Banchero. Nobody's been able to do it yet. He has not scored less than 15 points in any game this season that he has played over 25 minutes in. There's something to be said about that. Like that's a guy that's making a true impact to the game. And I think that he just absolutely goes out and plays a 25-12 game. That's my projection for him. And they win the national championship.
Awesome. Aaron, you got the same matchup. Who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to ask Todd if he likes guacamole because I think we just became best friends because we're going the exact same route. I got Duke winning again. I'll go to the Coach K part of it. There's just something very serendipitous about it that I can't not see, especially at this point. The Banchero point though is so good. I mean, I'm a big fan of guys that stuff the stat sheet, right? So you're looking at a guy that's over 18 points a game. What I think it's like 8 or so rebounds, but he's also averaging a block and a steal, right? So at least in the regular season. So these are the kind of guys that, like you said, off the ball, or maybe his shot isn't falling early. Like we said, we're going to be in the Superdome. The sight lines are going to be out. What can the guy still do? He can still rebound. He can still block. He can still steal. He can still pass. I think he's at like over 3 assists a game. So those are the type of guys that even when their shot isn't going early, which I'm not saying it won't be, but let's just say it is, right? It's not like he's invaluable being on the court. You have no reason to take this guy off the court because of everything else he does. Those are the kind of guys that I am going to pick. The Coach K part of it is probably the cherry on top. And I'm not even a big Coach K guy, but we can't deny what he's done for the game, for college basketball. I have Duke. I had Duke from the beginning just because of that part of it, and I'm going to stick with it.
I don't think that let's just be clear here. We talked about Gino Auriemma last night, the head coach for UConn's women's basketball team. And his career winning percentage is something ridiculous, like 86%. It's a number that is like you play franchise mode in NCAA basketball for long enough. That's your record in a year, right? That's what Gino Auriemma is.
Aaron and I actually did that with NCAA football. Actually we did with basketball too, didn't we?
Yeah, you get so good where you're like, man, this isn't even realistic. Like we'd lose. Like
we just beat Duke. We just beat Duke 100-84 in the national championship game. Bye.
See ya.
Bowling Green.
I think I like Duke a lot. I think they have the easier matchup to get to the finals. And again, UNC scorching hot, but Kansas Villanova is going to be a 52-50 bloodbath. It's going to be a lot of defense. I think it's going to be a really, really fun game. I think if you're a college basketball fan, I think the Kansas Villanova game is going to be really, really fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like either one of those teams coming in, I think Duke can beat. But again, we're looking at all blue bloods in the Final Four, which we don't really always see. And I think it's really fun. You got great coaches on every side of the matchup. I'm going to give Coach K his send off.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. And I also have Duke in the national championship game, but I disagreed with these guys on who's going to win the Final Four matchup. I got Kansas facing off against Duke in the national championship game. And honestly, boys, I think it's just too good to be true. And there's one reason why, and his name is Ochai. Mr. Oh, yeah. Ochai Agbaji from KU Rock Chalk. I got the Jayhawks cutting down the nets, winning the national championship. I think he is just an absolutely amazing story, fantastic player, and a leader in Big 12 play is Ochai Agbaji, sorry. And I'm really looking forward to this entire matchup because, like Aaron has said, like 75 times this tonight, blue bloods throughout the entire Final Four. We got the best of the best, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a lot of fun. And buckle down. Get yourself some. Todd, did you enjoy some of that Wellers this weekend? I think you sent me a little picture of that, didn't you?
I'll be honest with you. I actually decided to
You
go
just
to
poured
a
it down the
Woodford.
drain.
No,
I'll be
you
honest
went
with you.
what?
I kept the bottle. I put Jim Beam in it just so it's on the shelf.
I hit the Woodford instead, and I told Mary Saturday. I said or on Friday. I said this weekend I'm gonna barrel through this bottle of Woodford.
Attaboy.
It's that kind of weekend.
I mean, but you know what? It's not like that's a bad choice ever. I mean, Woodford is sublime, if in a word. It is fantastic bourbon, and either way, you are suited very, very well. So I'm going to highlight a little bit some NBA scores going on tonight. We had the Timberwolves in Toronto taking on the Raptors 102-125. The Raptors got out with that one. The Knicks continue to disappoint at home in MSG, getting beat by fucking Charlotte 125-114. Orlando lost to the Wizards 127-110. Denver, the Thuggets, took down the Pacers. We all could have predicted that one, but not how close it was, 125-118. The Cavs got edged out by the bitchiest team in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks, 120-112. Memphis in the third in San Antonio taking on the Spurs, 2:33 left in the third. Memphis up 91-75. Atlanta taking on OKC tonight, and Oklahoma City, they're up 130-112. 307. Trae Young must be going off. Sacramento at Houston, 106-105. 750 left in that one. Tune it in if you can. Battle for the East is hot. The block is hot. We got 5 teams within first place by 1 game. There's 10.8 seconds left. Looks like Miami is going to edge out Boston in the Garden.
I just want to add that Trae Young has 41 points. Exactly.
I knew that motherfucker. I mean, honestly, we can get into a little NBA right now before we get into our game. That dude has 2 homes, Atlanta and Madison Square Garden. He consistently makes the Knicks his bitch on a regular basis. But not only that, it's like he feeds off of being shit talked to. Aaron, are you picking that up?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, too, is this guy needs to make an All-NBA team this year to get the Derrick Rose Supermax. And I think he's going to try to go right into the end of the year to try to get that. He, I don't know if you guys know what I'm referring to, but yeah, exactly. So, he's basically relying on sports writers right now to make him $30-40 million, which is a fun game to be in. You gotta end strong. I don't know that he's going to be there. The NBA the guards this year have been insane. I mean, you've even seen Booker towards the end of the year make a case for
about
MVP.
Him a lot.
He's not going to do it, but he's right there, kind of like Tatum as well. Here's the thing though, is I just hate watching him play. He's really, I hate it.
Yeah.
He's just James Harden light, and I don't really enjoy it.
I think that's a very interesting perspective on Trae Young, because I don't think you're super far off from him. I think the only variance for Trae Young is that I don't think he's as half as good a shot as James Harden.
No, he's James Harden who grew up watching Steph Curry.
Yes. So I compare Trae Young very often to Russell Westbrook, because if you shoot 50 times a game, you're bound to score at least 30 points, right?
Yeah, but not from 3.
Yeah. Right.
No, here's the thing. Like Trae Young, fine, whatever. He's an all-star. He's been an all-NBA player. I think when you look at where the Hawks were last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you see the way that the Hawks are fighting for the play-in game right now, it's kind of the same reason that I'm a little bit off on Jokic as the MVP this year, because they're fighting for the play-in, and I know that they're out some guys, Michael Porter Jr., and oh God, what's his name? It just blew on me.
Porzingis.
Murray.
Nice.
Yeah. So and Jokic is a do-it-all guy, and I love him. He's one of my favorite players to watch. But
Oh, you said Nikola Jokic.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Luka Doncic. I'm sorry.
No, Jokic. I'm sorry. Yeah,
you're thinking Jokic in the MVP conversation.
Oh, I mean, he moved today to the odds-on MVP.
Over Luka
Yep.
Doncic.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean it's over Embiid.
Yeah, Embiid is the other guy. It's
going to
between those
be
two. Yeah.
Or honestly, it should be Giannis.
I mean, the
It's just
fact that
voter fatigue.
that he has dragged that fucking roster to half game out of first place right now is banana. I mean, obviously they're going to go up. They're going to be a game out with Miami beating Boston right now tonight. But, I mean, where were we at 2 weeks ago? They had a 4-point game. They had a 4-game lead. Did the Heat, and then over the last like week and a half, it's just become a clusterfuck. And the East is drastically tightened out right now. You got the Heat with a half-game lead prior to this win being registered on ESPN.com. The Bucks behind a half game. Boston 1-game deficit will turn to 1.5 with the Sixers at a 1.5 game deficit, and then you got the Bulls and the Raptors at 4 out. Then the final 4 in, you got the Cavs making the playoffs 6-game out of first place. The Nets at 8. Total disappointment for the Nets going into the season.
It's just injury after injury after injury. It's been.
Here's
the thing: at the beginning of the season, you were like, "Hey, at the high end, please just give me a chance at the play-in game." But when you were in the top 3, 4, 5, we even had a chance at sniffing the 1.
I mean, this was prior to Christmas, right?
No, I mean, outside of like the first month of the year, the Cavs were like the surprise of the year.
They started out really hot.
Went out early. Ricky Rubio goes down. You trade for Rondo, which not much, but like still like, okay, give me the Rubio role.
Yeah.
He goes down. Jared Allen goes down. Evan Mobley goes down the other night. Like Evan Mobley has been the rookie of the year, in my opinion, all year. And it's hey, look, you tell me at the beginning of the year that we're in the 7 seed fighting for a play-in. We're loving that. But after you see everything that you saw, I mean, Garland is, easily an all-star moving forward. It's just frustrating, that's all. And that's just nothing but personal bias.
No, and I totally understand. I mean, I can appreciate that, to put things into perspective, if you're the Arizona Cardinals and start 8-0 and then you lose in the first round of the playoffs. It's
kind of similar, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way I could describe it. And we have a rule here on Rally Towel Sports. After you cut the bird, you don't bet on the red bird. It's just the rule. After Thanksgiving, you don't bet on the fucking Cardinals. It's just how we fucking do things here.
I just love the Rally Towel cross sports analogies. Those are my favorite.
It's what we do. It's what we do over here.
And for you as a Cavs fan, and look, I'm a Pacers fan, so
okay,
I'm hurt that you Karis LeVert has just absolutely been a pleasure in Cleveland, and he was a leading scorer tonight, and I hate that he went to Cleveland and played so well because I just don't think Indiana ever used him.
He's been all right. I mean, he's been all right. He came in and it was like right before the All-Star break, and then he got injured in practice. And he does the only thing about LeVert that, and no offense to you, because I know you're a Pacers fan, but wasn't a lot holding on this year. He likes to hold the ball. He likes to dribble the ball. The Cavs made their money this year moving the ball, being very, very unselfish. And LeVert's kind of a ball stopper a little bit. And here's the thing. He kind of filled a little bit of that Colin Sexton role where he kind of played the same way. Where, hey, listen, we need a guy who can get a bucket. And we gave up a lottery protected first round pick. So let's say somehow we fall out of the playoffs this year. We still hold on to that.
Right.
Really didn't give up too much to get him.
It's really nothing.
Yeah.
I think for what he brings. And I think that I do agree to you to a certain extent. He is a guy that likes to create his own shot and likes to he likes to get the ball with 24 seconds on the shot clock and still have the ball with 8 seconds left, right?
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of that.
But he also has the ability to score 30 points in a game. And I think
he absolutely does. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was disappointed. There's other parts of that were disappointing, right? You lose Sabonis, the Pacers gain Halliburton and Buddy Hield. I think Buddy Hield is probably 20 years too late to be in the NBA because he is a 3-point shooter only. So it is what it is.
Have you seen the NBA lately? That's all.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but the difference is Buddy Hield does not play defense though.
Right.
At least
No,
guys in
I
the
get
NBA
you.
play
I'm just
defense.
teasing.
All right.
Buddy Hield is a horrendous defender.
Hold on. We got the one, the only, a banker boy jumping in the chat right now. Mr. Josh Spence is joining us tonight with a comment, 2 comments here. Let's get down to business. Goat MJ or LeBum? Now, I for one am not interested in the MJ versus LeBron discussion. I'm not interested in that. We've been doing this for fucking almost 2 decades. I'm not interested in that conversation. I am, however, interested in appreciating the greatness that is LeBron James. If you want to sit here and try and sell something to me, Josh, that LeBron James is not the best basketball player within the last 15 years, I'm ready to have that conversation all day. And with that being said, I want to kick it over to the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Aaron Mehling, native Clevelander.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Not only native Clevelander, I between the 2 of them, I've gotten 4 championships out of them in my, actual watching lifetime. 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Thank you, MJ. We appreciate it. Now, granted, I was a kid, but I still from age 2, I was like, I love sports. This is great. I love it. So growing up in Chicago, rocking 90s Bulls gear right now.
I want to stop you right here just because I wanted to throw it to the chat, and I'm going to kick it back to you. Josh is saying stop it. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you, Josh, who is a better basketball player? That's what I want to hear, and then we'll go from there. Aaron, keep going.
So here's the thing I'm fine with saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT or
Me too.
whatever. That's fine. But to say LeBron James isn't the 2nd best basketball player of all time is just absolutely bananas to me. And as a native Clevelander, I can tell you the one championship that he won in Cleveland was better than any championship I've seen in the last 10 years or so. Maybe even the other comparison I would say is when the Boston Red Sox finally won, but it's not like they didn't have the Bruins, Celtics, or Patriots. That's great, man. Your one team didn't win. Congratulations. LeBron James, everything that he's done. Here's the other thing too. Take actors, take any celebrity you want that was famous from the age of 15 and put them on that stage. And minimal controversy. One of the worst things ever was the decision, I guess, but you're not talking about a guy who got coked out, who's been busted by the cops, who's been, had a bunch of crazy controversy. The other thing I would say too is put LeBron James in the game now. And I'm not even saying from a player standpoint, because everyone's like, oh, he played against garbage packers and fucking accountants and the NBA. It was a bunch of, shitty, unathletic people at that time. No, put MJ in the social media age and everyone would have destroyed him for the gambling, for the everything. Yep. And everyone would have called him fucking it's the same thing that people do with LeBron right now, is just take a fucking step back and appreciate greatness.
Yeah. Give yourself a chance to enjoy the sport, right?
Right. Don't just sit there and be a hater.
I think it's interesting you bring up that's a great question that nobody talks about. What would have happened to MJ if he played in the social media time? And it's the same thing. And it would have been horrendous, right?
Hey, Republicans buy sneakers too. Hey, fuck you, Michael. No, it was on an article and everyone stopped talking about it.
Right. And I think it's funny because if you watch The Last Dance and you watch this performance that was let out for Michael Jordan and his berating of his teammates, because that's really what it was. Let's be clear. This was a 6-part documentary that was to bolster Michael Jordan and to bring down every other part around him, minus Phil Jackson for only one episode though. Right. There was only one episode where he commemorates Phil for doing what he did for Chicago. And realistically, they fucking hated each other when he played in Chicago. Phil Jackson was years ahead of his coaching time in the way that he looked at basketball and let's call it the new age, right? Because when he got to LA, it fit perfect. Michael Jordan is the shittiest teammate that you could ask for. He's not a good guy. He's a degenerate. He's an adulterer. But he's a great businessman, and he was able to create a brand. And I think that when I look at the two of them together, because I don't think of them on the basketball floor together, because you can't compare the generations.
Two different styles of game.
Yeah, I hate the conversation because you could look at both sides and both sides are correct, right? Because
and the both sides are okay. MJ would lock down LeBron, and LeBron would power through MJ. Like
the comparison is MJ Kobe and LeBron Magic, and everyone will tell you MJ is better than Kobe and LeBron is better than Magic.
Yeah, but I think about all the time about Michael Jordan stepping away from the game of basketball to play baseball.
Right.
And what would have happened if that was 2015 or 2013? Whatever. Insert any year of Twitter
where social media is prevalent.
Here's what I'll tell you. LeBron James stepping away to play tight end would have been a lot better than MJ stepping away to play baseball.
Shit, LeBron James playing keeper at the Columbus Crew would have been pretty fucking entertaining as well. I'm just saying, no one's scoring a goal on the Columbus Crew if LeBron James. And that's my thing about LeBron James is that we don't talk. I mean, it gets talked about, it gets mentioned at bullshit conversations. LeBron James is one of, if not the greatest athlete of our lifetime. And you just need to step back and appreciate that what he is able to do. He's literally able to perform very well at every aspect of the game. Blocks, assists, scoring, whatever it is, rebounding. LeBron James is you have to account for him in every single aspect. If LeBron James played any other sport, he would be good at it. It's just a fact. He would be an amazing tight end. LeBron James would probably be able to, if he had the training going into it, similarly as other athletes, he would probably make Michael Phelps look like a child in a swimming pool because he's just physically gifted in that sense, right? Any sport LeBron is going to excel at because he's that fucking good. He is that gifted athletically. And to just not to let all the bullshit that comes along with it, I'm going to fucking quote a rapper right now and say it's hard to be humble when you stunting on a Jumbotron. LeBron James, he's fucking jaded. Why? Because he's been told that he's the shit since he was 15 years old. He was on the fucking cover of ESPN magazine at 15 years old. How the fuck would you act if you were that?
Yeah, but look at people like, and again, across entertainment, look at Macaulay Culkin, Drew Barrymore, Robert Downey Jr., people that were really, really famous, really, really early. They stumble. They stumble hard.
No, they fucking ate shit.
Put Michael Jordan in the social media age, and
it's over.
No, can you imagine the Twitter response after? And Todd, you were just talking about The Last Dance. Imagine the Twitter response after his dad died, and it was all, is that gambling related? Oh, is this his baseball thing, like a secret suspension kind of thing for his gambling? Like everyone would have called him a bum too, because everyone wants to hate now. Yeah. All Michael Jordan had to deal with in the 90s was Diane Sawyer.
In newspapers.
Well, yeah, it was legitimately, it's one person on the national media spotlight who had a 1 hour position a week to stake her claim, and then you have every city's writer who is having to prepare a dissertation to disrespect Michael Jordan, and by the time that happens, he drops 50 in a game, right? So then you forget about that 2 weeks ago. He lost $75,000 on the golf course because that's been documented, or he drank a 12-pack of Bud Lights before he got to the arena, and when they were in the fucking playoffs.
I think that was Dennis Rodman.
Rodman just disappeared for a week, and Phil Jackson was like, "Go do your thing, man. You got 72 hours." 12 days later, Rodman, you're back. Get on the floor, buddy. You're good.
Yeah.
I do. And Josh, I appreciate you saying I agree with this guy because I agree with me too. But they're I'm fine. As a Cleveland fan and again, somebody who grew up in Chicago, I'm fine with saying Michael Jordan is the greatest. The thing that Michael Jordan had is just that I'm not going to fucking lose, and I'll stab my teammates. I will do whatever I have to do to get that winningness in them. And LeBron, is, don't
He's
get
a
me wrong.
people
I think
person.
LeBron has a killer instinct as well. He wants
He's
to
a pleaser.
win. He is. He's a people. But here's the thing. Look at the NBA now. Like all these guys are like best friends. It's like a whole different environment. Like, hey, let's
It's
go
totally
team up
different.
here. Let's go team up here. Let's go team up there. As opposed
And not
to
only that, like it's a different society. Like that's not valued as much. Like being a dickhead is not valued as much. Like you have to be nicer. Like right to be the face of the NBA, which I would argue LeBron until he retires will be that. You could say Steph is kind of the face as well, but it's LeBron James. LeBron James.
The one thing in the conversation that people don't talk about the MJ thing though is Scottie Pippen signed the worst contract in NBA history, and they had him for 7 years. And Michael Jordan isn't the same player without Scottie Pippen. The Bulls and even after Michael left, they've been notorious for never really spending above the cap or like that luxury tax amount. And they were fine with having a chance at a four-peat and saying, hey, let's go into the rebuild. We'll keep Michael. We'll pay Michael anything he wants. LeBron has actually changed the game to the sense of I am like where Michael Jordan is now. I'm an owner. I do that. Yep. LeBron found a way to do that while playing.
Yep.
So it's just different, man. Like
you
want to say Michael's the best, I'm fine with that. But LeBron's second, and it's not even an option. After
like that. no one would even entertain Michael Jordan signing a 1-year contract. Like it just wouldn't happen. Like they want to lock that down for a long time. They're going to throw however much money that it takes to do that. But LeBron's just not interested in that. He's interested in control. And you see that with the constant coaching changes. And the fact of the matter is LeBron James is good enough that teams are going to fucking sign up for that. Yeah. We'll sign up for the chance of having you one time on our team 1 year, and you can have the control that you want because we think you're good enough for us to win win the NBA finals. So.
And LeBron has actually made that work when you look at Miami forcing his way out, winning championships
3 times.
He won a championship in Cleveland, and he basically kept his fucking boot on the neck of the organization the whole time. And let me ask you this. Michael Jordan being the killer that he is and being the amazing basketball knowledge man that he is, what the fuck has he done as an owner, as a GM? Like nothing.
Dog shit franchise is what he has, actually. Probably one of the worst in the NBA. One that should be moved. One that should be in fucking Seattle at this point, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one organization that should be in Seattle, it's fucking Charlotte.
I love that perspective because I think that Michael Jordan as you're thinking about it as him wanting to be a killer in terms of winning. Right? You're thinking about Michael Jordan being an owner in terms of that. Michael Jordan makes a fuck ton of money being a part owner of the Charlotte Hornets.
Josh with a comment. He don't care.
No. And so I don't.
You're gonna tell me that a guy that gambles against his own security guards doesn't give a shit because he's making money? Like it's the reason he has it is because he wants to win.
I don't know though. I think they would have if they would have done a lot more at this point.
So I think that Michael Jordan, the business, because you're putting him in terms of Michael Jordan as the athlete. Michael Jordan, the athlete, doesn't put up with that shit, right? Michael Jordan wins at all cost. It's do or die, and I'll knife to your throat no matter what. Is
poker an athletic sport?
It is when the purse is $10 million, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. So I that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think Michael Jordan accepts losing.
It's a fair point.
I disagree because he clearly is, because they're one of the losingest franchises since he's taken ownership in Charlotte. They're consistently at the bottom level of the Eastern Conference year in and year out. They haven't made a push to get any better, and he's not making any moves as an owner to put more money into the organization to make them a better team, right? He's made big picks. We've seen them take big names and try to build around big names and figure out how they're going to get there, how they're going to get better. But then it's 2 years, and then it's, we got to start over again. Or we're trading for picks or whatever it is. I don't know. I don't think of Michael Jordan as an owner as the same person. I just think that
I don't ever think if that is your personality that goes away, I guess is my point. Like that's not like an on-off switch, like a light switch.
I get your perspective.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
listen, and let's go back to the original point. Again, I'm fine if we want to say Michael Jordan is a great. I actually probably agree with that. I think it's a lot closer than people want to say. I think Michael Jordan went through a lot of, hey, I'm gonna score 30 points a game. I'm going to get mine. And then it took Phil Jackson coming in to say, we're going to run the triangle. Everyone else needs to be involved. You don't have to be that guy. You can average 26 points a game. You can average more assists. You can be Michael Jordan and you can still be that person. And that's when they started winning championships. I think LeBron has always just been, again, LeBron was never Michael Jordan. LeBron was always Magic Johnson who could shoot the ball. Like I just don't think it's a fair comparison. And if you want to say Michael's the greatest of all time, I'm cool with that. I just think the people that are going to say LeBum or this guy sucks, like
just silly.
Then don't watch the game, man. Like you're just why are you doing this to yourself? Like he's a great basketball player. He's probably the second greatest player of all time. I don't know. Do you want to go back and watch Bob Cousy highlights? Go fucking enjoy yourself. Like, who cares?
First of all, I love that we got down the Michael Jordan is as a businessman, is he the same killer? Because that's an argument I got into like not even 2 weeks ago with a guy that I work with. Because we had this conversation. We had the same exact conversation at work, and it took us damn near an hour for him and I to be able to shake hands and walk away from it and not want to basically go out in the parking lot and fist fight each other. Because I have a similar mindset to you. I believe in his own right, Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time, because up until that point in time in the history of basketball, we hadn't seen somebody play really well. We'd only seen one other person play at the same level of athleticism all the time, and that was Magic Johnson up to that point, right? Because before that, it was specific players who were able to score a lot of points because of size or because of of one or two reasons, right? Magic Johnson, to me, is the first guy where you have the conversation was, is there one person that changes every single part of the game? Yes, Magic Johnson was that person in the late 70s and the early 80s because nobody was 6'9" as a point guard. Right. It was absolutely transcendent, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
All I was gonna say is now 5 years later, it's 1983, and Michael Jordan is at North Carolina playing three positions on the floor, right? Because he's a killer. Yeah. And then he gets to the NBA and he struggles a little bit in his rookie year, and there's a little bit of injury, and then the next year you're talking about, holy shit, this guy could score 35 points a game. And I think you bring up a perfect point. Phil Jackson comes into Chicago and tells Michael Jordan, hey, you don't have to do this.
Right.
You don't.
All right.
Well, I want you to be you're the centerpiece of the triangle, but we're going to build your spots. And then you get 15 years off and on 15 years of Jordan.
What do you got to say, Aaron?
I'm looking at the chat here, and I'm going to agree with Will about Bird.
Really?
Yeah. Well, no. Here's what I'm going to say. Like you just said with Magic Johnson, and you got to put Bird in that. You can't really compare the eras prior to Magic and Bird to anything before that. I think you can compare Magic, Bird, move it to today, and I think you can compare games. And the funniest thing is, like, I don't know why we keep talking about The Last Dance. I actually just watched it recently again because I hadn't watched it since it came out, so it's like top of my mind. The craziest thing to me was watching the Jordan UNC highlights was there wasn't a 3-point line. Like you can compare, like the people that want to say MJ is the GOAT because of the rings. I'm like, all right, cool. Then Bill Russell is the GOAT if you really want to do that, because he won 11 fucking titles, and he destroyed Wilt Chamberlain every time they went up against each other, because Wilt Chamberlain was I'm going to score baskets, when Bill Russell was like, I know how to play defense. I know how to block the ball and not let it go out of bounds, to hand it to a teammate, do all of that kind of stuff. Bill Russell, okay, fine, the GOAT. Robert Horry, you want to say it in like the new day? Like it's you can't just say.
I love the Robert Horry.
You can't just say rings. And again, I'm fully conceding the fact that I think Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player that has ever played in the NBA. But it's also this other part of it too, where it's like, what? Michael took how many years off to play baseball? He retired to come back and play for the Wizards. Look at what LeBron James, what I don't even know if he still is, but like last week was leading the league in scoring at the age that he is. Like, just accept the fact that this guy is great. And that's fine. You can say that Michael is better. LeBron has lost games in the finals. Michael Jordan probably would have lost to those Warriors teams.
It's just a different style of play, and it's really hard, like you guys have been saying, to draw those lines across a league that has really taken. Actually, I can't say it's taken more changes when you compare like the way that the NFL has changed over the years. It's all really changed drastically.
Totally.
So it's really hard to just compare these guys.
The definition of an athlete is significantly different, even when it was.
Yeah.
So we're all 30, 31, right? So think about when we were graduating high school in 2009, what the definition of an athlete was then. There weren't a ton of guys that were there were people, LeBron existed at that point in time, but look, I think Corey and I have used this, Aaron, as an example. Is look at the edge rusher in the NFL now. An edge rusher,
like a safety.
Yeah, they're the best athletes on the field. That wasn't a thing in 2009, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with tight end on offense.
Right. Yeah. The game switches motions, right? And the athlete changes and there's science, there's all sorts of shit that comes in.
I would argue almost that the athlete that transcends forces the game to change, right? Like when we were graduating, like Dwight Freeney, the Colts defense, they won a Super Bowl with Dwight Freeney, right?
Look at Strahan.
Teams saw that. Teams look at Strahan. They saw that how impactful a pass rush can be, and they started designating athletes to that position. It takes an athlete that can transcend the game, that can change the game. It's a lot more prevalent in basketball because there's less people involved in the general game, but it happens across all different sports. And I think LeBron is one of those guys that I think really emphasize that in the fact that now you're seeing centers that can play the one, and the whole game has just spread out because you have a guy that can literally do every single aspect of the game.
Yeah.
And that's because you have guys that grew up watching LeBron, and those are the guys that really is what it is. Because
it is.
Kobe grew up watching.
All right.
And honestly, the big thing to me is Michael Jordan was always a fine 3-point shooter, but the NBA was never a 3-point game. He ran into Reggie Miller. Ray Allen came in along that. But you take a look at like Steph Curry now, and even to bring this full circle, we were just talking about Trae Young earlier. Like, these guys are now watching Steph Curry, and that's the way that the game is now. In the NBA, for Michael Jordan's time, they used to take like 11 3-pointers a game. They're taking like 40 now. It's just an entirely different game.
Totally different. So it was a great, Josh, really appreciate you coming and hanging out, man. Go ahead and like this stream and share it. You've been in this chat more than Tom has been in Pammy. So go ahead and like the stream and share it, brother.
Make me fight myself. Bulls and Cavs fan. I'm like, I don't know. I'm right. I'm wrong. I'm right.
All right. So we got a new game
sweatshirt rooting for the Cavs.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? So we got a new game alert. Who the fuck it is? Brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Not really, but Mick Ultra. If you're interested in being a sponsor of Rally Tile Sports, go ahead and contact me. That'd be great. Todd has a new game for us. Explain what is Who the Fuck It Is.
So, again, Josh gets some credit for this. Last night he came into Town Hall Tuesday and said, let's talk some basketball pre-2002. And it was LeBron Slam, whatever. But it got my brain churning. And now, again, we're all the same age. And I think we all played NBA Live at some point in time, right? That was a game that was in the PlayStation 2 that you were spending some time on. And you trickled through every team if you had some time, right? Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're good.
Live? Okay. So
yeah, I was playing with the Kings.
I did.
I was a
because Chris
2K guy, even back in like 2K3, like Allen
That's
Iverson
fair.
on the cover.
Okay,
But yeah, I got you.
NBA Live was my
Yes.
jam with Dwayne
Yeah,
Wade on the cover.
There's like Jason Kidd 05, I think. Yeah, I'm
yes.
Dwayne Wade was 07. Yeah.
So I was more of an NBA Live man myself. And the thing that NBA Live brought to me was I was just very inquisitive of where did this guy go to college, right? I always asked myself that question.
I like this
I would look at rosters and I would say, where'd that guy go to college? And at that point in time, guys, I wasn't getting on my fucking phone when I was 10 years old typing in where did Mike Bibby go to college?
Yeah,
right?
Sure, shit wasn't going to the library.
Right. I had to look. Okay, so here's where this comes from. In Fairfield, where Corey and Josh and I grew up, there is a sports card shop called Hooterville Sports and Cards, something along those lines.
On Pleasant.
Yep, on Pleasant. Right next to
West Coast Video.
That's right. You're absolutely right. So
in the KFC.
So where I'm going with this was that I had to basically do all of this shit for my mom and my dad as chores, whatever you want to call it. It was bitch.
No shit.
Now, in retrospect.
Yeah.
And
you were an indentured servant.
And once every 2 or 3 months, I got to go to Hooterville and get 2 boxes of cards. And here's the thing about basketball cards. You flip that bitch over, it tells you exactly where they went to college. And when you guys were being challenged by your parents to read books and, learn math, I was fucking I'm just tripping.
You were fucking?
No.
Good for you, dude.
I'm in a book of basketball cards quizzing myself where Corliss Williamson went to college, which by
still
the way,
an honor roll student.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. That's what I spent my time doing. And that's why this podcast is so, it came full circle for me, because now the decade plus that I spent just only looking at the back of basketball cards and baseball cards, it came full circle, because now I can play the game. Who the fuck is it?
I love it.
Or who the fuck it is. Sorry, let me rephrase that.
Who the fuck it is.
So
Jason Kidd was a badass. That's from Will.
That's a fact.
Arizona?
Great basketball player.
Is that right? No.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd?
So.
Yeah.
One of the best distributors of the ball at a point in time where the point guard position was changing.
From San Francisco, California, went to college, University of California. Went to Cal.
I'd step on toes. Todd, let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
So,
let's get in.
Gentlemen.
Is this like buzz in first, or what are we doing?
So what I would like to do is I'll give you guys a couple of facts about this individual.
God damn it.
And then we'll do a little buzz or whatever. So here's my first fact about this person. And it's important. He is a former North Carolina Tar Heel.
Michael Jordan.
Get the fuck out. Podcast is over. Second fact. He was an NBA Rookie of the Year for the Golden State Warriors.
Okay.
Third fact. 6-time NBA All-Star. You likely know him from his time, either with the Golden State Warriors or with the Washington Wizards, but he also spent time with the Cavs, the Clippers, and the Lakers.
Ricky Davis.
That's a great guess, but you are not correct, sir.
Andre Iguodala.
Went to Arizona.
Fuck. All right, Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
We know his time from the Wizards.
The Wizards or the Warriors.
Josh Spence coming in the chat saying Antoine Jameson.
That's right. He's right.
That's great.
My man.
Can we also take a second to talk how Josh loves Jason Kidd but hates LeBron James?
Yeah. What the fuck is that, man? J Kidd was all around.
Let's
J Kidd was all around. And LeBron James is what?
He's a
is
bum.
what?
He's a bum.
Hold on, the crowd had something to say. What did you guys have to say about that? They thought it was funny too. That's fucking fucking comical.
Yes. Anton Jameson. And
that's a good one.
Thank you. So the reason
that's great.
The reason that I picked him is I felt that it was a great opportunity to bring a Tar Heel into the conversation, right? I felt like if we're gonna get into some obscurities of the 90s, early 2000s, this one is more of a, I guess he's a 90s 2000s.
No, that's
guy,
a great name to pull because everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
And that's the original big three. I'm just kidding. Jameson, Butler, Arenas. No,
anytime I think of Gilbert Arenas, I just need to go to a shooting range.
Really mad at myself for not getting that.
So
that's a great
Aaron,
fucking pull.
The good news is if you decide to continue joining us on these Wednesday night,
if you want to have me, yeah.
I will continue to bring what I like to call the heat. Because for me, this is great because I have to do all I have to do is dig into like an archive where I'm just like flipping through stats in the back of my head and like, all right, who's a guy that everyone's gonna know that I can give like 3 or 4 facts that all I have to do is just do a quick Google search to fact check myself and I'm in.
All right. What's the next one?
Oh yeah, no, I keep going. If there's another one, I'll shut up.
Oh, he's got them. He's got more.
All right, so I'm gonna do one more of a similar time frame.
Okay,
Greg Ostertag.
Wow,
is that it?
No.
Oh, I was gonna fucking flip, dude. I was gonna lose it.
The only thing that would have warmed my heart anymore would have been if you would have said Bryant Big Country Reeves. I would have had to excuse myself from the podcast, officially retire my hand in the post, and have to start a new segment on Friday nights called Aaron One-Ups Me at every single part of the basketball podcast.
It's just a 5-minute podcast.
Yeah, it's just me talking about just
paying
slandering
homage.
Aaron's name left and right. All right,
paying homage.
Gentlemen, 3 facts. And again, I'll segue this, and this is a 2000s player.
Right.
And I'll just let's get it rolling.
Just awful suits at draft day.
Was a part of a national championship Michigan State Spartan team.
Okay.
Two-time NBA dunk contest champion.
Fuck.
Shannon Brown.
Great guess. Not Shannon Brown.
Oh, man. Aaron felt he had it. He's like, I got this.
And this one's close to Corey. He was Mr. Basketball for the state of Michigan in 1999. And the reason I say that is because of him being Mr. Basketball. Go ahead. Who you got?
No, go. I'll let Corey go first because I already guessed.
I have no fucking clue, Aaron.
So Mr. Basketball in the state of Michigan in 1999, as a true freshman, wins a national championship with the Michigan State Spartans in the year 2000.
Desmond Mason.
It is not Desmond Mason.
Jason
That's
Richardson.
Josh. That's Josh.
Who'd you say?
What'd you say, Aaron?
Jason Richardson.
That's absolutely correct.
Oh, that's close to Aaron too.
I love it. I
had early with the Shannon Brown. I don't know. I was like, oh, I know he went to Michigan State. The guy was a high flyer.
So
that's beautiful.
Do we want to do one more and call it a night?
Yeah,
just
Let's
a nice even 3.
All
right,
6.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I got to get up really early. So
he's a child, Aaron.
I have a son turning a year old tomorrow, which is incredible, by the way.
Oh well, happy birthday!
Thank you.
Yeah, Todd. Hey, congrats on the sex a year and 9 months ago, man. Good for you.
Thank you. You can thank.
It's also Mary's birthday.
Yeah,
day she gave birth. So you need to respect your wife tomorrow. Okay.
I usually try my best to respect her, but I'll try even harder tomorrow.
Yeah, just tomorrow and Mother's Day. That's it.
All right.
Otherwise, it's like let's play 18.
Come on, yeah, right. Let's go.
Gentlemen, here's I think this one's a little bit more obscure, And if you guys get this and the first 3 guesses,
what? You take your shirt off?
I don't know what we'll do it off.
Aaron and I made the exact same face at the same time. We're like,
We'll do an off-screen negotiation because I think this one will be a little bit of a stumper. All right. You very likely know this player
I hope so.
As a Sacramento King with Mike Bibby and Chris Webber.
Oh, fuck.
Christie.
Fuck. Son of a
Oh, let's go. Let's go.
Damn.
Let's go.
Damn.
Let's go.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I was
Sure.
I had Hito Turkoglu and Doug Christie on the sheet right next to each other. And I was gonna go Hito.
You can't get me with Turkish Jordan.
And I thought at the last second, like, fuck it. There's no way anybody guesses Doug Christie.
Doug Christie
guesses. You son of a bitch.
First 3 words, baby.
God.
Played a lot of NBA Street back in the day.
Josh said, "Let's see them next." Boys,
Let's see them.
This isn't a rated X podcast. If I take this shirt off, we might.
It's just MA, bro. It's just MA.
I love it. That's incredible. Thank you for.
I'm sorry to do it early, but I was like, I know this.
It's great because I think that
It's fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna do this every Wednesday, and now my purpose in doing this is to make sure that you have to guess at least 3 times, so I feel some sort of gratification.
Yeah,
that's it.
No, that's fair.
That's my objective.
Just give me a couple softballs, because I fucking sucked at this game. So, Corey, he played at Michigan State, also well-known Laker.
In my defense, we'll go back and review the tape, and we were like texting. I was like, I don't know, I like kind of know NCAA. I'm fine. NBA, I got you.
Yeah, it's 100% factual. He was saying, I'm going to cover it, and I was like, well, it's cool because me and Todd like NCAA probably a little bit more than we like the NBA, so that's perfect. It's a perfect. It's like what's the combination? Like tuna and what was he saying? No. What does he say? Fuck, it's Big Daddy.
Tuna fish.
Like, what does he say?
What is it?
It's something tuna. We all know it's tuna something. I can't think of
something in tuna. Like, God damn
lamb and tuna fish.
Like, yes, like a lamb and tuna fish.
Yeah, lamb and tuna fish. Oh shit, that was great.
God damn it!
I appreciate the knowledge of Doug Christie, because I was gonna throw out that he went to Pepperdine because I thought that maybe that would like throw you off the scent.
I also want you to know I went full Jeopardy rules and just said Christie because I was like, I'm not confident in the first name, but I know it's Christie.
At least you didn't call him Chris Christie.
Excellent strategy.
When I initially
doesn't do that.
When I was initially creating my list, I wrote down Chris Christie, and I was like, pretty sure that was the governor of New Jersey. So I need to fact check myself. So I'll do one more.
Okay.
We'll call it a night after this, because I think that this one is it's fairly obscure, and it's going to require you to dig deep into the archives, and probably I think you're gonna throw at least 2 names at me that are wrong.
Okay.
I hope so. I really do, because I felt so bad about the Christie one. You're like, this one's gonna be
gonna be tough.
All right. Number 1
gone. And Castellanos in the left field.
Dude, it was an absolute kick in the dick.
It's a 4-0 ball game. I'm a man of faith.
All right.
Oh,
all right.
God.
Number 1 overall pick of the Los Angeles Clippers in 1998.
God damn it.
Went to Pacific University.
Stromile Swift.
Went to LSU. So
yes.
You're
I'm just here for the excitement of Aaron getting it.
So the reason I bring him up as Josh just said the answer. He said Elton
Oh,
Brand.
it's Elton Brand. God,
which is no, that is not correct because
I was gonna say I almost said that, but it's not. I knew because
the Clippers drafted Elton Brand.
Ricky Eball liking the stream. What's up, Rick? What's up, Jerry?
So Elton Brand was the second overall pick for the Clippers of the following year, and they drafted Elton Brand essentially to replace this guy because he was first or second team all rookie his rookie year. He was by and large the best overall player going into the NBA draft. He was kind of like a Shaq 2.0 in a way in terms of being able to handle the ball a little bit, but being a
Todd. What was the year again?
1998 was the year he was drafted by the Clippers.
Okay.
I'm out. I have no idea. What other fact?
Will you do me just a solid? Read them back to me. You can rapid fire them.
The facts?
Yeah. Rapid fire. Don't pause. You're good.
98 overall pick, or 98 overall, number 1 overall pick for the Clippers. Went to Pacific University. I'll throw in a third fact. He was number 55.
I'm tapping out.
Ladies and gentlemen, his name is Mike.
Josh is. He's Googling.
He said "old man candy." I think that's what this is.
Michael
Olowokandi. Yeah, Olowokandi. Michael
Olowokandi. Old me candy.
Josh Pitts.
That's what I tell you know.
Josh, you could just copy and pasted it into the chat when you Googled it.
I think.
That's what I tell my wife I'll be when I get older. I said, baby, don't worry. I'm like a fine wine. When I get a little bit up there in age, I'll just be old man candy. That's what I tell her.
I tell my fiance I'm going to age like mayonnaise.
Yeah, perfectly.
Never.
Just I'm a little bit more tangy.
Yes. So the reason I threw the number is, believe it or not, this is a psychology fact for you guys.
Larma.
Is that traditionally you recognize players based on their jersey number. It helps you retain their name because when you look at their jersey, you're looking at their last name above the number. So you retain that information a little bit better. So that's why I threw the number.
I like it.
I like that.
All right, rapid fire current player. You two are going to be better at this. First one to get it. Drafted by Memphis, guard out of Ohio State.
Mike Conley.
Yeah, that's
bingo.
right.
Bingo. Bango. Bingo. Bango. Drafted by the Indiana Pacers, forward out of UNLV.
Paul George. No.
Paul George.
Danny Grange. No, he went to Fresno State.
Yeah,
you're right.
New Mexico.
Yeah,
you're right. I just fucked that up. Sorry.
It's
fair.
Drink
this Guinness.
Todd, I want to give you a lot of credit. That is a fun fucking game, man.
We're gonna play it more.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna play it more.
So I was gonna tell you guys this like right before we started because you were like, oh, we're gonna do this. It'll be fun. I used to play this game with. That's why I said Greg Ostertag earlier. I used to play this game with these guys I used to work with that was called Name That Big Man. And you would just take a picture of a 90s big man who just looks like someone who shouldn't be in the NBA.
Yeah, they all look like police officers.
Yeah.
So they look like they have they're 7 feet tall, they have flat tops, and they went to a Big 12 school.
Right. And it'd be like Bill Weddington or right, exactly. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Greg Ostertag's a great name.
They showed 000.
Yeah,
they showed old ass Jazz jersey.
They showed a clip of Shaheen Holloway in the McDonald's All-American game. And you know who was in the McDonald's All-American game with Shaheen Holloway? Bryant Big Country Reeves.
Big Country.
The first player ever drafted by the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Beautiful.
I love it.
Beautiful. Well, chat, it is almost fucking 11 o'clock. We have been on for damn near 2 hours. It is a long show, but you guys have been fantastic. I want to give special shout outs to Josh for coming and hanging out in the chat. Will for coming and hanging out. Brian, thank you so much. Everybody, my dad, thanks for coming and hanging out with us earlier tonight. We had a great time. This is probably my favorite in the post episode so far, because they're gonna keep getting better. National championship and the Final Four matchups are coming up this weekend. It's going to be crazy. And next week, we're going to recap the national championship and start focusing on NBA playoffs, some of the most fun in sports. We'll be getting to that next week. So I want to thank you, everybody, for checking it out. Be sure to go to rallytowsports.com. Check out our new blog. Bobby dropped his intro piece today. Todd's comes out tomorrow, and mine will be out on Friday. We're going to have at least 3 blog posts per week with new articles coming out from guest writers and people that are interested in getting involved in the Rally Town sports community. If that's you, if you're interested in writing and getting into our sports blog, hit us up on Facebook. You can hit us up on Twitter at rally_Tau_S. Or hit us up at rallytowsports09@gmail.com, and we can vet you out and get you on the blog as well. I want to thank Aaron for joining us tonight. Todd, thanks for holding it down. I'm Corey. It was awesome. For Rally Town Sports, I'm Corey, and we will see you next week. Tomorrow for Line to Gain.
Woo-wee.
See you tomorrow around 8 o'clock. Love you, motherfucker.